Most handguns look trustworthy when everything is clean. The range is calm, ammo is fresh, and your hands are steady. That is not a real emergency. A few months back, I stood in front of my safe longer than expected. No noise, no pressure. Just pistols I had carried, trusted, defended, and shot well enough to feel confident with. Then I pulled them out one by one. Not the smoothest trigger, not the tightest group, not the one people argue about online. I asked one thing. If the power cuts out, weather turns ugly, your grip is off, and help is not close, which handgun still survives like it was built for that moment? The pile got smaller fast. Only 5 stayed. And number 1 stayed because if everything went wrong at once, that was the gun I would still want in my hand. By the end, you'll know whether yours is built for a real emergency or only looks ready on a clean range day. The Beretta 92 FS is the handgun a lot of modern shooters would remove first. Too wide, too heavy. That first double action pull feels like it was built to punish lazy fingers. Beside today's lighter polymer pistols, it almost looks like it walked in from the wrong decade. But a real emergency does not care what feels modern. A friend of mine in Nevada carried one on duty for years. Desert heat, long highway stretches, late calls where backup was not sitting 2 blocks away. I asked him once why he never switched when everyone else started chasing lighter, flatter, easier guns. He did not mention contracts. He did not mention history. He just said, "It's the one I don't worry about when I draw." Then he told me about a stop that turned fast. A suspect bailed, spun, hands moving wrong. Distance closing before anyone had time to clean up the moment. No perfect grip. No calm breath. No chance to think through trigger weight. That first pull broke. The slide cycled. The next round fed. Later he told me, if it had failed, that conversation would have ended different. That is why the 92 FS survives this list. Not comfortable, not trendy, just predictable steel under pressure. It stays at number 5 because it asks discipline from the shooter. But the next handgun survives for a different reason. It feels ready for the messy middle of real life. Real emergency usually does not wait for the handgun you shoot best. It catches you with the one you actually carried that day. That is where the M&P9 2.0 compact earns its place in an emergency. Not through legend, not through drama. It is easy enough to keep on you, but serious enough when the day turns wrong. I had mine riding with me all week around Houston. Long drives, errands, seatbelt pressure, sweat, getting in and out of the truck. Nothing exciting. Just normal life testing, whether a carry gun becomes annoying enough to leave behind. Then, one late night, off Highway 290, normal changed. I pulled into a small gas station with the tank lower than I liked. One truck sat near the edge, engine running, lights on. Nobody pumping gas. Both the doors opened. 2 guys stepped down and stayed near their side, watching. No shouting, no sprinting, just distance, silence. And that ugly feeling where your body understands the problem before your brain explains it. My hand found the compact without searching. The texture locked in. The frame gave enough control without feeling oversized. It was not the pistol I admired most that week. It was the pistol that was actually there. That is why it survives a real emergency, because the gun you left at home is useless, no matter how good it shoots. The SIG P226 showed me something ugly that day. The first stoppage did not scare the guy beside me. The second one did. We were running pressure drills with Jeet Gandu behind the line. The kind of guy who notices your mistake before you feel it. Timed strings. reloads on the move. Commands, coming fast enough to make clean shooters look sloppy. The shooter beside me had a newer striker pistol. Good optic, good setup. The kind of gun people trust because the spec sheet makes them feel safe. Then it coughed. Failure to feed. Tap rack. Back in the drill. Then it happened again. That second pause changed his face. His hands got faster, but not cleaner. His eyes started chasing the gun instead of the target. Then I stepped up with the P226. Heavy frame, long first pull, no shortcut. The gun made me commit before it gave me anything back. But once that first shot broke, it turned into a machine. Slide, cycling, hard. Recoil coming back the same way every time. No dead pause, no feeding drama. When I cleared, Jeet stepped closer and said quietly, "That one doesn't care about tempo." That is what makes the P226 survive when everything goes wrong. It stays there while pressure eats the shooter alive. But there is the problem. It still waits for you. And in a real emergency, that little demand is exactly why 2 handguns still sit above it. The next one fixes that by taking pressure off the shooter completely. The Glock 19. Gen 5 survives because it does not ask you to become sharper when everything around you is getting worse. That matters more than people admit. Stress already steals enough from you. It steals fine motor control. It steals patience. It makes simple decisions feel crowded. So the last thing I want in that moment is a handgun, adding one more variable for my brain to manage. The Glock does not do that. Mine has been carried long enough to stop looking pretty. Holster wear on the edges, dust in the corners, sweat under the slide after long Texas days, carbon after range trips, where I told myself I would clean it later, then didn't. And the gun never seemed interested in my excuses. Same press, same wall, same reset, same boring cycle. That is the part people miss when they call the Glock plain. Plain becomes valuable when your pulse jumps and your thinking gets narrow. No long first pull to transition through. No safety to remember under panic. No personality shift between shot 1 and shot 2. Just draw, press, cycle, repeat. The ugly part is, you may not rise to the moment. You may be slower than you thought, shakier than you expected, less calm than every range day made you believe. That is where the Glock earns number 2. It does not need you to be impressive. It just needs you to press the same trigger you already know. When everything goes wrong, I do not want a handgun that needs the day to cooperate. I want the one that seems almost offended by perfect conditions. That is the HK USP. Weak grip, dry rails, old ammo, carbon where it should not be, sweat dried into corners, a magazine you should have replaced last year, a shooter already behind the moment before the first shot ever breaks. Most pistols start making excuses somewhere in that mess. The USP feels like it was built with the mess already priced in. It does not chase comfort. It does not feel slim, soft, or friendly. The slide has mass. The recoil system feels overbuilt. The tolerances do not act like a little dirt ends the conversation. Everything about it feels like HK left extra room for the worst version of the day. That is the word I keep coming back to. Margin. Glock makes the shooter's job simpler. The USP gives the gun more room to survive. And when a real emergency strips away clean hands, clean ammo, clean thinking, and perfect timing, margin is not a luxury anymore. It is the reason the gun is still there. That is why the USP is the last one I would cut. Not because it feels modern, because it feels like it already expected things to go wrong. Barely missing the main 5 is not the same as failing the test. FN's 509. Tactical came close because it has the right kind of attitude for a bad day. Optics ready. Threaded barrel, aggressive grip, Controls that feel built for hard use, not showroom handling. Nothing about it feels delicate. I carried one through a Houston summer where comfort basically died. Humidity sat on everything. Sweat soaked into the holster. Lint packed into corners. Salt dried along the slide. The pistol stayed pressed against skin, rubbed against the seatbelt, bumped the console, and lived through the kind of daily abuse that slowly exposes weak choices. Cleaning was not perfect either. Real life never waits for your maintenance schedule. Still, the 509 Tactical kept the same feel. The press did not turn lazy. The resets snapped back clean. The slide cycled like heat and neglect were just part of the deal. That is why it belongs here as the bonus. When everything goes wrong, this handgun still feels like it will be there. It just missed the 5 because the main list was not only about toughness, it was about the deepest emergency trust. This was never about the handgun that looks best on paper. It was a filter. Plenty of pistols shoot well when the day is calm. Fresh ammo, good lighting, perfect grip. No sweat, no fear, no rushed decision. That was not the standard here. The standard was uglier, bad weather, low light. Dirty hands, missed maintenance, a bad angle. The kind of emergency where your brain is late and the gun cannot ask for perfect conditions. 5 cleared that line for me. 1 cleared it with the most margin. If yours did not make it, ask one thing. Do you trust it because it proved itself, or because you hope it will? I'm Steve. Pick carefully.